All right, so we're recording, and I'm going to share my screen. Cut that out. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our Creative Arts Biz Lecture Workshop Series. We are so excited to be here today with Andrea Holmes, a super successful creative entrepreneur painter out of McKinney in the Collin County area. And we will post this video later on Facebook and on Instagram and on our website, and try to answer as many questions as we can there and or through email. And you'll get to see how to reach out to Andrea through her Instagram and all her contact information too. So we're glad you're here today with us. So I'm Jen Seibert. Andrea is down below, our artist, and then Mike Schueth is my co-moderator. So
hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome.
And we are excited to get started. So the idea behind the Creative Arts Biz lecture series is that we didn't really want to talk with Andrea or other creatives about how they paint or what they're working on. What we really wanted to talk about was how they run a business as an artist. And Andrea has been super successful with this. I've known her now, can we say 6 years maybe?
I think it's been longer. I think since like 2012, 2013. So it's been almost like 9.
It's so fun.
It's been a while, girl.
It's been a while. And since then, she has just been super successful. So she's going to share 12 tips with us today. And since we have a small group here, we can keep it real conversational. We've got a little PowerPoint to go through, and we're recording this so that we can post it later just for the people that just popped in. Hi, Peg. No, that's Brenda.
Hey.
Hi,
Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
Okay, so here we go.
Oh, and just one word too about once we post this on social media, keep the conversation going in the comments.
Yes, yeah, thanks. Okay, here we go. So the format here is that we're going to have a little bit of a backstory on Andrea about her successes and a little bit about what she does. We're going to go through a little PowerPoint about her 12 tips, and then we'll have some Q&A kind of throughout, and then a little bit of time for you guys to chat. When we get to come back into the actual art center, Plano Art Center, who's so sweet to let us host these here, and we're all vaccinated and the world opens back up, we'll have little workshops that we'll work on. And again, it's not painting workshops. It's more like, how do you do a business plan, or how do you brainstorm your next steps? How do you do your taxes? Things like this. So, okay. All right, so here we go. Here we have Andrea, and our topic is workflow and time management, how to stay afloat once you get started. So with that, oh, here's us. Hello. And I'll say a special thanks. This is a special thanks to Susie Jones this week because she's letting us host here at the Art Center. And these are some of the other people that have helped us build the program. And okay, so maybe Andrea can tell us a little bit about her painting business and what exactly it is that she does before we get into some of her tips.
I just want to say, look at that sweet baby angel who didn't have a clue and had no idea what was coming before COVID hit. So that, smiling face says it all. But so I am Andrea Holmes. I'm an artist and mural artist. I have a studio in McKinney in a beautiful old cotton mill building. My studio is with Mill House. It's for female entrepreneurs and creatives. And so that's me. I have been painting for about 11 years, but I've always been in art. And I met Jennifer. She was my professor at Collin College, and she was one of the best professors I've ever had. So if you can take a class with Jennifer, she set me up for success. She got me thinking about how to actually be a working artist. So that's kind of my background and how I met Jennifer.
That's nice plug, thanks. Okay, let's see what else our next slide is. Okay, through the PowerPoint presentation that we put together, you're going to get to see the art that she makes. But again, that's kind of not the topic, but you can reach out to her later and learn more about her work. And you can find stuff on her Instagram and on her website. But she was excited to try and share 12 tips with us. So here they are. I'm going to give everybody a second to read them, and then she's going to talk through them one at a time.
And I do want to say that we did this like a year ago. Jennifer and I met up, and I had this list, and I had talked to her class before, and but all of these, I read them again when we talked about doing it now, and I was like, these still hit. Like these are, it's funny because they all still apply. Some of them are more important than others were at the time, but they definitely are still important tips. So.
Hopefully COVID will get past it and then get back to normal.
That weird blip. Ugh, yeah. Yeah. I feel like if I can make it through COVID as an artist, then I can make it through anything.
Agree. Agree. Okay, I'm going to move forward.
Yeah. Well, I think so. The first tip is do what it takes to make your art. So what that means is I am a full-time artist, but if you have to work a job to do your art, then work a job and do your art. That doesn't mean you're any less of an artist or anything. You know, if you need a husband or a roommate, or you live with your parents, or any of that stuff, you know, or work part-time and be an artist, all of that is you're still an artist, but just do what it takes, you know, save, live in a smaller house, that kind of thing is really important, so that, you know, you just got to do what it takes.
When I met Andrea and she was in the painting class, she was working at a paint and party type establishment, and then also was hustling for a TV show. But she was always surrounding those jobs in the creative field. And that was something that I started when I was a kid, where, you know, the 16-year-old, 17-year-old job, it was like in the art department at Michael's, teaching at a children's studio. And I was relentless. I was like, can I please have a job here? Can I please have a job? Finally, they gave me the job because I wouldn't leave them alone. So I think that, you know, not only do whatever the job is, but try to make that extra hustle be something that keeps you around other creatives as well. And Andrea definitely did that.
Yes.
Okay. Oops. I got tech stuff. It's killing me today. Okay, here we go.
So the second tip is to make a lot of art, especially if you're just getting started and you're not sure what your style is, or, you know, what you want to do. I suggest making a lot of art because, one, you'll have a lot to sell. And some things take longer, but even if you're making small little daily doodles, or, you know, doing a 30-day challenge or something like that, it can increase your skills. And then also if it's something small that, you know, you're going to sell for real cheap, then some people can buy it from you and have just a little something, while, you know, some artwork is going to be pretty expensive. But even just having a little small something can be big to one of your collectors.
Could I just ask the group a question really quickly, if that's okay? Brenda McKinney is here with us, who's also an amazing artist, and she has been doing a painting challenge. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about like what that's doing for your level of creativity and how it's keeping you so active in your studio.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I did that so that I would loosen up. I'm a very tight painter, and I tried to do everything very realistic, and it was kind of keeping me, I think, stagnant. So this challenge has really loosened me up. These are very small. I'm doing 4x6 alcohol ink paintings, and I'm allowing myself 30 minutes to an hour. Mm-hmm. So it's very quick, and whatever happens, happens. And it has just really freed me up. And it kind of shows me kind of who I really am as an artist. You know, you keep growing and you keep changing, you keep challenging yourself to be better.
I think 30 minutes is huge. And that's what kind of Andrea was saying about something small and fast, because it's so easy to not make, right? Like we all know that.
Right.
We have to pay our bills and we have to take care of our families and do all those things. And if we can just say, I'm going to do a 10-minute drawing, period, like just a little bit, it'll keep us active. That's fun. Mm-hmm. You guys should check out Brenda's work. What's your Insta, Brenda?
McKinney.Bree, Bree.
Put it in the comments. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
I have a friend in who does like the art fair kind of circuit, and I think he hits right on your point about having different price levels, because most of the people that go to those kinds of fairs have like $20 burning in their pocket that they want to spend.
Right.
Mhm.
And so if you can get those people, you might also get like the high end kind of client too. But, you know, like I think it's really important to think about those different price points.
Yeah. And then impulse purchases are usually like under $100. Most people aren't going to drop like $1,000 at these things, but they're going to be thinking about it. And if they can have a little something to take home and remember you by, all the better. And they can become lifelong patrons of yours and collect bigger pieces later on. So
I always think about every single sale, no matter how big or small the price tag, that it's a piece of marketing. And that, like you said, if they can get a tiny little something in their house, even if it's a present, then they see you and they remember you. And then that's when they come back to you for something big. And I've learned that over the years, that half the battle is getting these repeat clients, you know, that they fall in love with your work and they want more of it. And then that they tell their friends, and that you start in this kind of like narrow circle, and then it builds from there. That's awesome. But all of it, make lots. And if you make lots, you have lots to give away. If you're like me, you don't want to keep it in your studio, you can share it out and put your Insta on the back, and then they come back to you. Okay, here we go.
So this one is fill your creative cup. Most of the time we are putting out information, but at some point you're going to have to put something in. You got to connect the dots. So each time you have a new experience, or you see somebody else's art, or you go somewhere, or you do something, you're creating a dot. And when you sit down at your easel, you can connect those dots and create artwork. But it's really important to consume as much as you create.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, does anybody else have thoughts about that? I have a couple. But... So I did a writing workshop probably like 15 years ago at a university that I taught at, and it was how to bring creative writing into all of the disciplines. And as a painting professor, you know, that's a challenge to get students to write. And we did this workshop where I talked about like, how do you come up with your creative text? How do you come up, and not creative, but just like with your ideas that you're going to write about. And we did this huge wall of Post-it notes, and it really came down when we gathered all of them. Most people came up with it in the shower, when they were running, drinking a cup of tea. It didn't happen in the studio. It didn't happen in front of the paper. It happened when you were letting it kind of cook in the background. So I agree, like having those other opportunities. And I want to add too, like her cute picture here where she's kayaking, which I want to be there. But just the word cup, like Andrea and I, we have brainstormed so many fun things over coffee. Mike and I mean, it's the lunch date. Like it's all about getting together with your friends and talking about the things that you're excited about, because you can kind of say the things that are scary that you don't think are fully formulated to people that you trust. And then it becomes an idea that actually works. So I love that. Okay.
So this one is don't compare. And I know we probably all do this, especially if you're on Instagram, you're looking at all these incredible artists. I do it all the time where I'm like, oh, man, I wish I was that good. And I think about it and it makes me feel bad. And then you don't want to make anything because you're afraid to show it, because there is all of this incredible artwork out there. But I can't remember the saying exactly, but it's about a bird. Of course, I have a saying about a bird, but if only the best bird sang, then it would be so quiet, right? So it sounds beautiful with all the birds chirping. And so I think of it for artwork that way as well. So it only makes the world better. So just keep creating. Don't compare yourself to others. They're on their own journey. You're in your own place. It's good to be inspired by other people, but once you start getting that kind of jealous, unhealthy feeling towards somebody, it might be time to unfollow them or eliminate them from your feed, because it really should be something to inspire you and keep you creative and want you to keep going and get better.
And on that note too, like you could unfollow him so it doesn't create pressure on you, or you could befriend him too. Like you could write him, direct message him and be like, what are your secrets? Like, what are you doing? And how can I learn from you? And use that network as a good way to unfold it.
Definitely.
Anybody
Yeah.
else want
I
that?
like you're way better. You're much nicer. I'm all like, cut them off. And you're like, befriend them. That's better. That's better.
Any other thoughts on that one? See who
I
else.
think that's probably one of the hardest things for artists to do is not compare. And you know that, Jennifer, as being an instructor, our students do that in the classroom all the time. When they find someone that can paint or draw better than they can, they say, well, I can't do this. So I think, yeah, comparing yourself, it's hard not to, but just let yourself enjoy the journey. I mean, that's taken me a long time to do as well, just to relax and just make the art and love whatever you do, just just enjoy the journey of it.
I need to put on a bra. I didn't know you were going to be here like now. Come on.
Oh, Ashley, turn off your mic. Okay.
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 I love it. So just in the comparison part, Mike and I have talked about this a little bit before. I don't sell my artwork for a ton of money. Like at the high end, it might be like $3,000 for like a huge pile of like little thank you paintings or something like that. But most of it is like fast and furious and not super expensive. And so for that comparison part, I've said I almost this is a guilty pleasure. I almost compare the kind of paintings that I make to reading like a trashy romance novel that costs 99 cents on Kindle. Like I'm not selling $17 books that are impressive, but those fun, fluffy 99-cent books are equally as important in the world. Back to your comment of like, we need all the bird songs. And so I'm not saying I'm like lowering my standards, but like I'm being honest with myself. Like I'm not trying to get into the metropolitan, like it's just not going to happen. And that's okay. Like I'm going to work within the network that I'm in. I'm going to work with the clients that are excited about it. So yeah, totally.
And Jen, you've also talked about matching the labor to the cost too, right? Like without spending a lot on materials or time.
Yeah, it's real important for me. I often, like in my Instagram posts, I'll say alla prima and just say that these paintings are done all at once and that they're trying to kind of capture the spirit of like a quick moment. But I try to make them in, 30 minutes to 2 hours, like to make the actual work really quickly. And then for me, my pricing comes based on other industry. So like if a cake decorator sold a painting or a cake that was this big and it cost $200, and I might sell a painting for $200 that was that size. So the expectation of the client is comparing a price point that already makes sense in their head for something of a certain scale and a certain amount of work to the painting. So that comparison is there for the client, which is cool.
And you work with brides, so that cake comparison makes sense.
Yes, good point. Okay, let's do the next one. I like this one.
Diversify your income streams, which was so important this past year. For me, especially, my main income streams were art festivals and doing classes. And of course, once COVID hit, I didn't have those anymore. And so I also had online sales were kind of on the back burner, and I was doing some window paintings. And then I also picked up doing murals last year. So I was able to shift to focus on those ones when my festivals and classes kind of went down the toilet. So that's, having all these income streams, and it doesn't even have to be art. It could be another job or a part-time job or something else. But so it keeps you safe. It keeps you having a healthy business so that if something does happen, you're ready for it and you can shift your focus. And again, this past year proved that so much.
Andrea, how much time did it take you to kind of pivot into those new directions?
So normally like March and April is when I am starting to do the most art festivals and classes and things. And so those were all taken away. And instead I started doing windows. And I just asked the downtown businesses in McKinney. So this was about in March. And I said, you know, if I can paint an inspirational, positive message in your window and you can just do a donation. And that kept me busy. So immediately, I mean, I did have a couple weeks, I'm not going to lie, of like pity party. And I was very sad that I was like, oh my gosh, I'm obsolete. I'm an artist. I don't know what I'm going to do. But just because somebody reached out to me and asked if I could paint on their window, and then I thought I could do that for more people, and I was able to pivot. So artists are anything if creative, right? So we should be creative thinkers and be able to come up with different ideas and brainstorm on how to make money. So I taught a class on how to make money as an artist. And so just go down the list. So yeah, I was able to get things turned around. I started doing art of the day on Instagram right away, and just posting something for sale. And I was able to sell a lot of stuff through Instagram that way. And so last year I ended up only being like 15% less than the previous year. And that was because of doing the windows, doing murals, and online sales. And I only had like 1 or 2 events, which normally I have at least a dozen. So.
Well, I'll say this too, like this idea of staying busy and pivoting. I think that all of the creatives that I know that have successful art business, it's a hustle. Like it is not for the faint of heart. Like it is so much work. But what's that saying? Like if you want to get something done, you ask a busy person. And I think that's true. Like, so you being able to go to these stores and say, hey, I've got this opportunity where I can paint something bright and cheerful for you during this time of despair. You have this full resume behind you visually of all the work that you've done and all of these different avenues. So you're already vetted, right? Like you're already proven to them, okay, she's going to do a good job here. So it's like that combination of staying really busy makes you busier, and then doing it in like different avenues so people can see you from different directions. And it kind of all goes back to that, like, how is my marketing or my advertising unfolding? It says I'm flexible and I can do anything that you need. And when you ask, I will say yes.
Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Did you see some direct, like people telling people to get in contact with you from doing this kind of work?
Yeah, it definitely like snowballed. So once I did one, then people would notice it. And then I definitely, word of mouth was a huge thing. I didn't do any marketing last year. It was all word of mouth. I still have people contacting me about doing murals and windows and things. And it's just based off of what they've seen. And then, being on social media and using those hashtags, that's worked for me. So
I think that word of mouth is huge, especially because back to that comment of like, let's face it, we're not going to end up in the Tate Modern. That's okay. But that we can, find this coffee shop that we work at or this window store that we work at, and they have other businesses that they work with. And so it's that network of marketing within that smaller circle that really brings in actual revenue, as opposed to like these loftier goals that are more unattainable for the $10,000 paintings that I don't know who sells those. But real quick, before we move on to the next one, can we just look at this slide for a second? You said you used to do before COVID 12 pop-ups a year.
Yeah, usually I would do some, in the spring and then the fall / holiday months, I would have them. So yeah.
You can't see it real well in this picture, but she has these super awesome pizza boxes with her painting and logo on them, which is really neat. And then these stickers that she's made. And then talk a little bit about this one. I know that you have these little pop-up shows all the time too.
Is that the one at the house?
Yeah, I think so.
Sorry, I have my chat open so that I can see. Yes, so I my friend is a realtor, and he was doing these pop-ups in houses. And so in each room there was an artist, and there was food and DJ, and his goal was to sell houses. Our goal was to sell art, and that was just a really great experience for me. I did that for several years. They don't really do it anymore, but it was a great opportunity to create buzz around the house and then have artists there, lots of people there, and it was good for me to get into Dallas, which is where they were. But yeah, it was just these little pop-ups. And I think those are great. And you can even do those inside of a store or some other small business that you can connect with, collaboration, which is one of the next things. It's really important.
Okay, let me move our faces. Hang on. Zoom here. I want to say too, with her diversify your income stream, like she said with COVID, this is kind of paused, but she does a lot of classes with like color theory stuff, with painting.
These were still life nights, which was really fun. So in a store in downtown McKinney, I would set up a still life. So this one was margaritas. and everybody got a margarita. And so I included that in the price. And I think it was $15 if you brought your own supplies, and it was $25 if you wanted me to supply it. So this was like a really low cost class. And so I wasn't really teaching. I just supplied everything and orchestrated it. But they were so fun. I did a breakfast one. I did candy, plants. So it was just, and it was a nice community event. I really enjoyed it.
And I'll just say there too, I also do a lot of painting workshops. And I don't really think that the idea is that you make a lot of money from the actual workshop, but that you sell a painting, right? Like that you get a client out of that. Someone falls in love with you and they fall in love with your work, and then they want to buy something from you later. So again, it's like this opportunity to be creative with others in the moment and to share your passion for it. So I have found that the classes have led to so many more opportunities down the road. And it's just a really cool way to keep the business rolling. So awesome.
Planting seeds.
Yeah, planting seeds. Yes, exactly. Okay, move on to save. Here we go.
So I would say it's really important to save. Obviously, like things like COVID happen, but I've even had, art festivals where I think I was lulled into a false sense of security in my first art festivals because the weather was great. It was awesome. I was making money. But then bad weather hit. And, if it rains, then nobody comes. You kind of have to close up sometimes. So you wouldn't make any money. I've had, I was doing llama classes, so I would go to a llama farm and we were doing classes, but then they broke up with me and wanted to start using other artists, which fizzled out. So there's just always something that you never know is around the corner. Hopefully it's good things, but sometimes it's not. So it's just important to save. I know 10% is kind of the recommended thing, but it's really come in handy just even to know that you have a little something just in case something happens is nice. You got to put money away for your taxes at the end of the year. I think it's like 20 something percent, 20 to 30%. And then of course, your sales taxes and that kind of stuff. But saving is important. I know nobody wants to do it, but that's again goes to cut costs if you have to, so that you have room to save. But it always gives you that cushion. And then sometimes if you have enough, you can make bigger purchases later down if you've saved enough.
And if I could interject too, because I know some creatives are thinking like, gosh, I'm not making anything yet. Like I don't have anything to save. Some of my goals when I first started my business was that I just didn't want to have to pay for any of my own supplies. Like that all I wanted to do was break even, that like I would sell enough that they would feed my desire to be in studio. And I still kind of feel that way. Like, oh my God, I'll say to my husband, like, oh my gosh, I'm in my studio and I'm not paying for any of this stuff. Like all over the place. And I didn't have to pay for any of it. Like it all got covered. So like thinking of those savings, like in baby steps, or even just like, okay, if I sell a $20 painting, I'm not maybe going to save that $20, but I'm going to spend it on new paint, or spend it on a new canvas and only put it back into my business. I'm not going to eat it for lunch unless it's a networking lunch.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely feed the beast. That's what I say.
Yes.
I can keep my creative stuff supplied. That's always good.
Yes. Okay, here's the next one.
So this one is learn how to market yourself. So if you make art, I think this is from a podcast that I listen to, but you make art, it's kind of like if you're a hot dog vendor and you're saying hot dogs, and you're like, no, why is anybody buying? But you're out in the forest where nobody is, nobody can hear you, then you know that you need to go where the people are. You know, be on Facebook, be on Instagram, or whatever works best for you. You only have to pick one or two and be, you know, try to be really good at it. Do events in person, meet people in person. That's why I like the festivals. You build more of a relationship that way. You know, do emails. I can't stress enough that email lists are pretty important. So you just try to create a healthy ecosystem of marketing, because unless you tell people about your art, they're never going to hear about it. Or unless you hire someone to do it for you, but I'm not at that point. So, so you have to get the word out there. You've made it, you've created something awesome, you know, share it with the world. Don't keep it a secret. People want to see what you're making. They're interested. They love to see it. So be sure to share it, market yourself, and get your work out there.
Well, we live in a time now where we don't need a high-end gallery to be our, our agent. Like, we have the ability through social media to do it for ourselves today. And I think you're right. Like, pick one or two. I'd almost vote if you feel overwhelmed by it, pick one. Like case in point here, we're trying to do this on Facebook Live. Not good at Facebook, and I'm okay with that. Like, we pivoted and came up with a better, or maybe not better, but a plan. And yeah, just so I focus only on Instagram and try not to get overwhelmed with it. And try not to spend too much time on it. Just make a couple posts, and if you think that they look yucky later, just delete them. No big deal. But I think just not questioning it and just doing it, you know, as dedicatedly as you can is the trick. So yes. Oh, and then talking to other people on those social media channels. Like, you have to follow other people and be engaged and excited about what they're doing, because then they're going to be interested in you too.
Yeah, engagement is really important. I know I like it when other artists engage with me, because you can really connect. I have a lot of people that I've met through Instagram that I ended up meeting in real life, and made those connections, and now we're real friends. So it can happen. You can have like art friends and go have coffee. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. Oops. Hang on. There we go. Okay.
I love this photo. So be an entrepreneur. So you have the artist side, which we can do for the most part, right? We're all artists, but part of being a successful artist or a business artist, professional artist, is also doing the other side of being an entrepreneur. So running a small business, essentially. You need to know, how to do your bookkeeping, how to market yourself. So you wear a lot of hats. Sometimes you have to clean your studio, run a business, have those hours out there that you're on and you're dedicating to your work and your business.
Yeah, I think too.
Our identity to take on being an entrepreneur.
More time, Mike.
Was it difficult to take on that identity as an entrepreneur?
I think I will say that because I've worked in a lot of small businesses and I've had a lot of jobs, I learned those skills. And so, learning how to do the bookkeeping, learning how to do your taxes and sales taxes, that kind of thing. Those skills have helped me as an artist, learning how to make prints or, doing the cost of goods or that kind of thing. So it just, I did learn that from the small businesses that I worked in. And so even at the job that you might be at right now, you can apply those skills to your business as an artist. So, don't waste any time. And then, reading books. I read avidly about being an artist and business, and then podcast. I do those. Articles online, YouTube videos, all that stuff. There's tons of information out there on running your business as an artist.
Yeah, we should get a good podcast list from you later in the comments.
Ooh, I have one of those.
Yeah, share a bunch of us.
Would love to share.
Yes. I feel like from the entrepreneur standpoint, like Mike, you were saying, like putting on that hat, was it hard? I actually kind of tried to fake myself out with my business. Like I almost lied to myself and I said, I'm going to do this small business as a research project. And if it fails, I've learned a whole bunch about something else. But like if the art business doesn't actually make, then I at least understand how other businesses run. And so you almost trick yourself into working and you get that failure out of the way, or that fear of failure. That seems like to be one of the biggest things that can get in the way. And it seems like you had the ability to get over that because you had all those jobs that like you had to hustle. Like it was hard work and you had to organize it. And you're just like, well, I know how fast and furious it has to be. So
yeah. And I would say that like it didn't happen like overnight. I definitely went from like student, and then I had 4 jobs at one time, and then I started working one job and then I went to part-time, and now I'm an artist. So this is probably over, I don't know, 10, 11 years that this has happened. So, and then you just learn stuff and you pick things up on the way.
that's huge. Just to say that this is a slow build. Like it doesn't happen overnight at all. It's just a lot of work.
Yeah. It is a lot of work. So as we were just discussing, continue your education is really important. So keep watching those YouTube videos, listen to those podcasts, read books, do all of that. It really helps you grow. And it would be a shame to not take the advice of people who have done what you want to do and apply it to your own business as an artist. It's just really important to keep learning, take classes. Jennifer's great. Go on artist retreats, go on to workshops from an artist that you like or admire. All of that is just going to help you be better as an artist.
And I'm 100% that the classes are important for the actual class content. Sorry, I'm plugging in my battery. But it's that networking again. Like you make all these friends and then you have this opportunity to have these conversations again that you're kind of afraid to have with yourself about how to move forward, but you're willing to do them with these other people that are in similar shoes. So it's that chance to, just problem solve together as a team. So it's that network that you build. I agree. Which is your next point.
Network and collaborate. Hey, that's us. A year ago.
Gosh, we're so cute.
Yeah.
My face.
So I can't stress this enough. This is probably, I should put this as number one because for me, it's so important is to collaborate with people. So collaborate with other artists, or collaborate with like businesses or other people in general. Just collaborate as much as you can because you have access to each other's networks. So, if I'm going to share this, Jennifer's going to share this, everybody's going to share this, it reaches further out. And then you get new ideas, things that maybe if you were stagnant or you didn't even think of, they'll say something and you kind of feed off of each other. So it can be really great if you have the right collaborator, of course. But even with the small businesses doing little pop-ups, that's a great collaboration. I tell them my people about their business, they tell their people about mine. It's just a very good symbiotic thing to do. I've working with like the goat farm, and I was doing classes. That was a fun collaboration. We got to try goat cheese and soap and all kinds of stuff. It was just fun. And I think people really loved the experience. And it got me, thinking about different things and how I can make something really awesome. So anytime you can collaborate with another artist, or if you're thinking, you're like, I really like this pie shop, like, how can you work with them? It's the best thing. I love it. I can't stress enough how awesome it has been to collaborate.
Yeah.
I've also like, I think it can be tricky too for some people to ask for the like, will you make sure to promote me? Like that kind of an ask for like, will you promote my Instagram account? Or, you know, are you like, do you think about that when you're working with other people? Do you have conversations around that kind of?
I think it's kind of a given. And sometimes if you create the content, people will share it. So like if I share in my Instagram stories, hey, I'm going to be at this pie shop tomorrow. Here's the information. And I tag them in it. It's so easy for them to be like, add to my story, and they can add it, you know? So even with Facebook, you know, there's this share option, that kind of thing. Now, some people are going to do better. And like sometimes I drop the ball too. Like it's not, you just do the best you can. But I think if you have that relationship with somebody, you can just say, hey, let's both promote this. And it works out pretty well. Because I think both of you are wanting to gain that from each other. And so it's really not a hard ask to help each other out.
And for a script for that, like if it feels uncomfortable to ask, you start it with, I'm so excited to tell everybody about your pie shop. Like, I just can't wait to tell everybody to come eat here and to follow your Instagram and to look at your Facebook and go to your website. You could do the same for me.
Yeah. And even like with this, like Jennifer sent out an email. She said, here's the caption, here's the image, put it out there. You know, you can do that for people, you know, hey, if you want to put this text, put this picture up, just make it so easy for people and they'll do it.
Yeah. You make that content. Yep. Okay.
So this one is help others. So it's not always about what you can get from people. Sometimes it's about what you can do for somebody else. So maybe you do a free class, or maybe you do artist talks like this. It's just really important to get that information out there. So in this, my mom worked at Plano Family Literacy, and I would come and teach an art class to the students for free. You know, like it wasn't something to benefit me. It was to share my love of art. And then for doing like, you know, little classes like this or online things, just sharing what you can to help other artists. I think it's so important. I think artists are underserved sometimes in school. You know, I wish they had a business section that you had to graduate with if you were going to be an artist, that just taught you all of the hard stuff that we hate doing, but you have to do if you want to be a professional artist. But so I think it's just important to get out there. You know, you have your peers, people who are at the same level as you, you have your like mentors and people who are on a higher level, but then you have the people that are looking up to you. And so you need to help those people as well.
Do you see direct connections to teaching, and like maybe how that has helped you in your own business too?
Definitely. I have made, like Jennifer said, I've made connections with people through my classes or like this. I miss doing it in person because you kind of get to chat with people after class. And so you make those connections with people, and you can help each other. My friend Beth Fields, who's in here, she has labeled me as her fairy art mother, and I don't know, I love talking about art. It's like talking shop, and I'm always happy to help other people. And you know, we have collaborated and we've done shows together, and now we're writing a book together. So you just never know where things will lead. It's just, I think you're just kind of putting out that goodwill out there and making a better place for artists when you do that.
This isn't so much related exactly helping others or teaching, but this idea of like connecting with people. You were saying like you and Beth hit it off and have all these new projects together. I had a really dear friend who I really look up to, an artist, who said to me once when I was going to a reception for one of my shows, and I was like, Corey, I don't think anybody's going to show up, which is the story of the artist. And she was like, you know, if you have one good conversation, just one, then the whole thing is a success. And I think that's kind of what these kinds of help other moments can lead to. You never know who you're going to talk to, and you walk away with like this one great friend or this great opportunity from it, which is cool. Okay, here's our last one.
Okay, so this last one is keep showing up. I know that it has been a very difficult year for a lot of people. And I was pretty depressed at last year. But if you just keep showing up, keep creating. I know even if I wasn't a professional artist, I'm going to keep creating art. It brings me the most joy. But sometimes you might feel like you're just spinning in a little hamster wheel and you're not doing anything, but you don't really see the seeds that you're planting that will grow later on and turn into something awesome. I've had people reach out to me after like 2 or 3 years after I had met them at an event or a festival and be like, hey, I met you here and I want to get a painting and I've been thinking about you. So you never know, if somebody's thinking about you. People will just pop up. Because sometimes there have been times where I'm like, I don't know, I don't have anything coming up in the pipeline. I don't know what I'm going to do. And then somebody will just be like, hey, I've been thinking about you and I want to get this painting or a mural. And then you're off and going. But it's only because I'm posting on Instagram and Facebook and I'm sending out those email letters. Even when I'm not doing projects for other people, I have personal projects that I'll do. So I'm always creating and showing up to the easel because it gives me joy, and I'd probably go crazy if I didn't have it. And it feeds into itself.
Absolutely. Any closing thoughts on that one from anybody? We have 10 minutes, 9 minutes until 7:30. So let me click through and then we'll open it up. I'll shut down the screen share and then maybe we can just chat with Andrea for 10 minutes. But if you want to take a screen grab of this or take a picture with your camera, you can reach her at her Gmail, find her website, or meet her at A Holmes Art Studio on Insta and Facebook, I think too. Okay, so that is us. Here's our Insta, Creative Arts Biz series, and our Facebook. Our website, is at planoartscoalition.org/Creative Arts Biz series. And then you can reach out to me or Mike and or Amy Pagan. She's here. She's helping us. She's just not on camera. But we're kind of like the team behind all of this. So let me unscreen share. I think that's all my pictures. Yeah. And then we'll take this 10 minutes to see if there's any kind of questions that popped up or things that we want to think about that we could pick Andrea's brain for.
I do want to say that I have a 4-year-old, almost 5-year-old. Who's asking me for candy. So I'm also a parent and I'm doing this. But yeah.
I'll show up.
Woo, yeah.
I would like to just thank you for joining us today, like in the idea of pivoting. We were going to do this lecture at the Art Center a whole year ago today. Like it's a year exactly that we were able to pull this back off. And then hopefully we can have another series in person where we can actually sit down and brainstorm with you face to face. But I think the thing that comes to my mind the most is that it's that hustle. Like that's what I pulled away. She's getting her candy. It's that hustle that I think I take away from you. Like that it's just so much work and you're constantly never giving up. I think that's the big one. Does anybody else have any ideas or questions for Andrea? I don't have everybody on mute, do I? No.
Andrea, just keep on doing what you're doing. When I started art in about 2001, 2003, I started selling my work and I didn't have a clue as to what I was doing. But it was like you, it was a networking thing. Every time I would go to a function, one of my friends would go, she's an artist. I still have friends that do that for me. So I'm sure that happens for you as well. Since you're already out there and you've been working this business for 10 years, and you guys that are starting, I've been doing it for, oh God, it seems like an eternity now. But but then I'm a teacher too, so that takes a lot of my work, takes a lot of my time too. And I agree with you on several levels. When I was in graduate school, I thought for sure that they should start a course on how to function as an entrepreneur, as an artist, because half the people I knew at the time had no clue what to do. So I was the one that was putting together the groups and hitting the galleries with our portfolios and selling them on curating a show. So it was like a lot of work. And what I realized is that you're spending at least 40% of your time being a business person.
Absolutely.
And I came from the workforce. I mean, I've worked in so many different industries before I became a teacher. So I came to the school with a background more like you, very diverse, where you've worked a lot of jobs and you had to do accounting and accounts receivables and payables and customer service. And you learn a lot by your experiences, but hey, you're doing it. You're doing it. So
Oh,
that's part, right? You're doing what you love. And I truly believe if you do what you love, success will follow. So
I could jump in too, just to say about Brenda, like she hustles more than anyone I know too. And that's why she's successful as well. She curates galleries, she curates like one on rotation and then other external shows. She's ready to jump at any opportunity. And I think that's it's just that it's a lot, like a lot of work. And you guys both had that background in business. I mean, I'm almost embarrassed to say this out loud, but I have only been an academic. Like I've never had a job outside of academia. So it was a learning curve for me. But I think like Andrea was saying, there's so much stuff now. Like podcasts and the books. And I'm sure all of our Instagram feeds are like throwing all these business coaches at us and so forth. But that's what we're here for. Like we want to do this every month and get to have these conversations in our local network where we're at and beyond, but that we can really help each other kind of go from here. So my hope is that, you know, in the comments and through email and so forth, we can give each other some of the tips and tricks that we all share and the podcasts and so forth and our opportunities. You know, like next time we have an exhibition coming up, we'll be like, "Oh, I'm thinking of you guys," and then, which we do all the time. So
maybe Andrea, like on a closing note, is there anything from this last crazy year that you were going to keep doing, that you learned, a big lesson that you learned from maybe the pandemic and pivoting that you're just going to keep pushing into?
Definitely murals. I feel like I don't have to work as hard. It's, you know, people come to me. I haven't had to do any marketing. And then you get paid at least half up front. And then you're just out there painting in the weather and it's on your schedule. And then at the end of it, you get paid the other part of it. People walk by, they say nice things. You don't have to be like on. I feel like when I'm at festivals, I have to be on and I'm like projecting my light and happiness out on people, hoping that they'll buy from me. So when you do a mural, you don't have to do any of that. And it's not as emotionally exhausting as festivals can be sometimes, because those are also physically exhausting. Murals are hard work for sure. But, and I love painting big. I love being outside, just listening to music and painting. So I think that's definitely my business has pivoted to be more of a muralist, and then I'll have the paintings that I do on the side. I will have to have an outlet for those paintings, the ones that I'm passionate about. So I'll continue to do a couple festivals, but I'll really kind of narrow down the ones that really work for me. And sometimes you might not even get into the festival that you think you're going to get into. So, but yeah, I think I'm definitely planning to kind of go that route now for sure.
And when we get out back in public, can you host a painting class so we can all come?
Yes, I would. I've had so many people ask about doing classes, and I would really love to do that. I think I do want to make more videos. I had the creative arts businesses classes, creative art business classes that I was doing usually in January, February, and then in the summer.
Maybe
I want to start doing those again.
Maybe you could do one virtually. I'd join.
Yes, I should have done that this whole past year. But I do. I think I'm going to record those this summer. I have a videographer that I like using. He gets to edit all of it, and I don't have to deal with that. So,
for help. Bring in your resources.
But
Okay.
yeah,
7:30.
that's what I'm going to be up to.
Thank you so much, everybody. We'll post this, and then Andrea, Mike, and I, and Amy will stay after the comments and try to respond to everybody. And then due to the crazies right now, we are hoping to have one in a month, like we did today. It'll probably be virtual, but just like everybody else, we're just kind of rolling along as best we can with all the changes. So we had 12 people set up all last year ready to go, and they're all excited to join us, but we just have to work out the calendar. So keep an eye out on our social media channels, and we will see you again soon. Thank you so much, Andrea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Good to see you guys.
You too.
Good work, people. Thank you.
That was fun. That was really great, Andrea.
It was fun. I'm still recording, just so you.
Okay.
Oh, Amy, can you come wave? She just glared at me.
Come over here. I don't have a present for you.
No, I had a present.
Hey,
Hi, Amy.
gone.
Hi.
She'll be in our recording, but
Here's Evelyn.
Who's the cute dumpling?
This is Evelyn, my daughter.
hi.
I told her she could come in the last minute.
Oh, good. We'll have a play date with Ella May and Henry soon, please.
We will.
And B, yeah. Love it.
Everybody's welcome.
I love it.
And Mike can come too.
Of course. We could go to the museum.
Yeah, that's a good play date.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna stop the recording. We'll post this soon. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
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 Bye.